Yo, what's good, YouTube? It is your boy Charles here from the CG Sports Podcast, and we are back with my guy Papi Solo, man. How you doing, bro?
I feel so good today, bro. I'm on top of the world, man. How
Oh
you
my
doing?
God, I'm good, man. I'm good. We had a great night of basketball today. Only one game, but it was definitely a good one to say the least, especially for you being as big of a Nets fan as you are. I'm sure you're happy. But just quick disclaimer before we start this video. The NBA decided to make things all weird for us, and they started up the second round before the first one actually ended. So just to give you guys a quick rundown, we're going to talk about the upcoming Game 7, which will be, as we're recording this, tomorrow, between the Clippers and the Mavericks. We'll go into a little bit of Game 1 action from today and just give our, some discussion and what you guys can expect from round number 2 of these playoffs. So get into it. Let's start off Game 7, Clippers Mavericks tomorrow night. Something I just want to mention quickly is we are yet to see a home win in this series.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and it's unheard of. Like, I've been watching basketball for a long time. I've never seen teams struggle so badly on the road. It's actually crazy. But yeah, so for those of you who don't know, the Clippers are the home team for this game as they're the higher seed. So I think all the pressure is on them to, try and pick up a road win here. Pick up a home win.
Now, what I'm going to say is, at the end of the day, what this series shows us is both these teams are garbage. I think the Clippers are going to win, but I don't think either one of these teams beat the Jazz. Personally, I know you said no team is winning at home, but I think the Clippers take it. I think they're just a more talented team, and the fact that the Mavs let this go to 7 games is what will be their demise. So yeah. I got Clippers Game 7.
Okay, and I'm gonna agree with you there. I also like the Clippers, not more than anything, more because I have them in my bracket. And I'd like for my bracket to look better. So I'd like for the Clippers to win this one. But I think the big thing coming in here, and I've said it a lot throughout the series, is that the Clippers have not necessarily played bad basketball. The Mavericks just, I don't know what it is. They just find a way to outplay them. Mm-hmm. And I think the big thing through the series has really been the supporting cast of the Mavericks. It's really been make or break for them. Because you look at the Mavericks' 3 wins, and it's not all Luka Doncic like you would like to think it is. You got guys, the supporting cast, Tim Hardaway, Finney Smith, even Porzingis. Even though he's supposed to be a second star, I still consider him part of the supporting cast. But it's really been those 3rd, 4th, 5th scoring options that have really stepped up. And I think if the Mavericks want to win, we need at least a 35-point performance from Luka, and that supporting cast definitely has to be on point.
Definitely. And I don't think they can be. I don't think they're built. Staffs can't rebound and save his life. I don't think Tim Hardaway, we saw him perform, but he can't continuously do it. He's done in games where they've won. And I think the Clippers are built for these situations. Kawhi definitely is built and has succeeded in these situations. So I think Paul George will show up. I think Kawhi will do his thing. And I think Luka would try his hardest, like he always does. I never want to disrespect Luka. He's a bright young talent, already a superstar in the league, but he can't do it alone.
Yeah, I agree, and you're definitely right with Kawhi when it comes to Game 7s. As a Sixers fan, I know it well. Kawhi definitely shows up in those Game 7s, man. I'm definitely expecting a big performance out of him. And like you said, Luka, he's done his thing. I know he has what we've been told is some type of neck problems. And I feel it's definitely hindered his performance. Like last night or 2 nights ago,
yeah.
What did he have? 19 points, 21 points? Really didn't.
I forgot he was injured, so yeah.
He really didn't show up the way he has. And I think that will be, obviously, like you said, going up 2-0 and not closing out a series is obviously a big problem. But I think Luka's injury will also be looked at if this series does not go their way as a big difference maker for them. But I totally agree. I think Clippers hold this one down, take it in 7, and we'll get into how that series with Utah is going to go. But you're the big Nets guy here, so I'm going to let you open us up here and talk about this Game 1.
All right. So, Game 1, Nets Bucks. For y'all that don't know me, I'm Papi Solo, man. And I have a lot on the line for this series. I have $10,000 on this series. So, when James Harden went down in the first quarter, early in the first quarter, I flinched a little bit. But then I said, you know what, Papi Solo, you control your reality. And I spoke this win into existence. I said, we'll be fine. We're built for this. The Bucks aren't a good team. And tonight we proved it, man. You know when Giannis's little brother gets playing time, it's over.
Oh my God.
And tonight, Middleton didn't show up. They shot 20% from 3. And honestly, to be honest, the Nets didn't play the best basketball they could have. No player on the Nets scored 30 points. You know, Blake Griffin was one of our best performers with 14 and 18. Joe Harris had one less 3 than the entire Bucks team.
Yeah.
It was a crazy game, bro. It was an emotional roller coaster. We went down early, and then we got up. We got up big late, and that's how the Nets usually play, man. The Nets usually they're like the Floyd Mayweather of NBA basketball. They fill their team out in the first 2 quarters, and then if they can, they take off. It matters.
Yeah, and I totally agree. They definitely pulled that one away in the last, I would say, 6 to 8 minutes. They really started putting it on. But I feel something. Obviously, we know that the Bucks just swept the Miami Heat in a series that was, for me and you at least, very much expected. I know there's some people we know who expected that series to go the other way, but me and you know that series was pretty obvious that the Bucks were going to take it down. But like you said, 20% shooting from 3, and I think that's something that people really didn't look at enough. In that opening series against Miami Milwaukee shot the ball pretty well throughout that series, and they were pretty consistent, and they're definitely gonna have to be consistent with their shooting if they want to compete. But I think this is a big statement game for the Nets, because even me coming in, I know you're on your Nets in 4 no matter who it is, but for me, I really came in feeling that, and for those of you know, I'm a Sixers fan. I came in feeling that Milwaukee would give Brooklyn more of a fight than Philly would. But after tonight, I really don't know that I feel that way. And the big thing, too, about Brooklyn is we know they can win games on the road. It's not like they're going to go up 2-0 and the Bucks fans are going to say, all right, we're fine. We're going to get games on the road. It's not like that. That Brooklyn team, they can win on the road, and they can legitimately close this series very, very quickly. I think game 2 is going to be big, though. But like you said, Harden went down. We still don't know. I don't think the game ended about an hour ago, and I still don't think we've gotten too many updates about his injury status.
Or Monday,
yeah, they'll probably do an MRI, whatever they got to do tomorrow morning. So we'll probably get updated on that. But just in general with this Milwaukee Brooklyn series, just a complete turn of events, at least in my eyes, and a big statement game for them tonight.
I think it's pretty sad. A lot of Bucks fans were excited, and a lot of Lakers fans who are Bucks fans now, and Celtics fans who are Bucks fans now. They saw the Bucks sweep the Heat.
Yeah.
They thought it was going to be sweet against the Nets. They thought, oh, we got this.
Yeah.
And I think just this shows how different the Nets and the Heat are.
Yeah.
The Heat have no offense. Duncan Robinson, that's not enough in these days. Like, the Nets are a totally different team, and tonight we showed it, man.
Yeah, I agree. And going back to what you said about a lot of people thinking the Heat, I know a lot of people like to look back to last season and kind of take that as their reasoning for liking them to win this year. But for me, I knew from the second they won that series, this was a Cinderella story. This was a one-time thing. And a lot of people don't talk enough about the addition of Drew Holiday in the offseason. He's definitely had a big part on their team, no doubt about it, on both sides of the ball. But for me, the Heat's win on Milwaukee last year was really no more than a Cinderella story. It was a lucky series that went their way, and from there, obviously, they did their thing. But to me, that series was kind of, it was a little bit of luck. And of course, guys like Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, they really stepped up in the playoffs. But this year, they just haven't been the same. And like you said, Brooklyn's just a different breed. Like simple as that.
Simple as that, bro. I agree. And I'm gonna go out on a limb, and it's probably not a hot take, but I say even if James Harden isn't here for the entire series, we still take it, bro. We still take it. We're still Nets in 4 regardless.
And something else as well to keep in mind is I can't think of his name. What's his name is going to be back from injury soon.
Jeff Green.
Jeff Green, correct. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And Jeff Green's going to come back, and he's a pretty good bench scorer for you guys as well. And I don't think his name is talked about enough for what he actually does for the team. The man is pretty important off that bench.
I think one of our most underrated qualities that we need to talk about is the Nets defense. Everyone said the Nets have no defense. You need defense to win championships. The Lakers are going to beat you guys because you have no defense. But the defensive Lakers went down in the first round, and the offensive Nets just win a game without their best playmaker. So I think this just speaks to how the league is now, and that playoff defense is much more different than entire regular season of defense. When the Nets want to turn it on, they can turn it on, and they showed it tonight.
Oh, yeah, I agree. And not for nothing, Claxton was looking good out there. I was watching the game. That man was he was looking like Hakeem Mutombo type out there. He was sending them shots back today.
It was beautiful to see, man. I've been a Claxton supporter all year, and it's great to see him in the playoffs develop into who he can really be, man. He's gonna be a star, man.
No doubt. Definitely developing big in this league. I'm definitely expecting big things out of him come playoff time, but we're going to move over to my team now. We'll stick with the Eastern Conference and then head over to the West. So moving over, Sixers, Hawks, and game 1 will be tomorrow. And I'm super looking forward to this series. And we all know the big story coming in is Joel Embiid. Is he going to be healthy? When is he coming back? Will he play game 1? If not, when can we be expecting him to return? There's a lot of stuff to talk about with this one. And I just want to open up by saying, similar to what you said about Harden, I realistically think we can win a good amount of games without Joel Embiid. I understand. I know this Atlanta team they're a great team, but I truly think Philly's on another level. And if they could play, the big thing for me is going to be the shooters, man. We've seen against Washington in games 2 and 3. Embiid he had good games, but he didn't have the greatest games. But it's that supporting cast. It's the Danny Greens, the Seth Currys, the Tobias Harrises, and even the guys off the bench like Korkmaz, Thibault. These guys, if these guys can get their shots going and get things falling early, I think we can take down Atlanta without Joel Embiid.
Now, people say the Nets, Bucks are a very evenly matched. It's going to be an amazing series. But I think the Sixers Hawks are much more evenly matched than people give them credit for. Now, the Knicks have top 3 defense in the league, and they got beat 4-1. So I just think the Hawks, I think Trae Young is trying to make a statement. Embiid being injured really concerns me for that team. You said shooting. The Sixers aren't a great shooting team in my eyes, and shooting good against the Wizards does not disprove that for me yet. I think game 1 will really show me how this series is going to turn out. And if it's a close game and someone wins, that's great. But I think if either one of these teams blows the other team out, that team is going to be, have the momentum for the rest of the league and clearly be, the best team of that series.
Okay. And I agree. I think the Hawks are a lot more of a closer match than a lot of people think, but I think something that you're kind of missing here, like you said, that Atlanta closed out that series in 5 games over New York. But I think something we have to talk about is New York really did not live up to the potential that we expected to in the playoffs. They really wet the bed in the playoffs this year. So I can give credit to Atlanta for closing out the Knicks in 5 games, but realistically, that was a series that should have gone 6 or 7.
I hear you. But since we're here and we're on video, this has to be saved. How about we put $20 on this series?
$20? You want to? You want to put down 20 on this series?
Bro, I hate the Knicks. And when Trae Young hit that 30-foot 3 during that standing O for the Knicks and then bowed, I fell in love. So I'm all on board with the Hawks. I think they go to the Eastern Conference Championship. So I got $20 on it if you're down, bro. Let me know.
Okay. Hey man, I'm with it, man. I got confidence in this team, and I think you're hating on the shooting a little bit. Just for the record, Seth Curry went about 3 to 4 months in this season being the best 3-point shooting percentage player for like the first 4 months of the season.
But as a team, the Sixers aren't the best shooting team.
Okay, listen, maybe not percentage-wise. We might not be the greatest shooting team, but we have guys that can consistently make 3-point shots. Danny Green can put down threes if you need him to. Same with Toby, same with Seth, same with Korkmaz, same with Maxey. We have guys who can shoot the ball.
Okay, so we're going to see tomorrow, aren't we? We're going to see tomorrow. I just don't think I think the Hawks are a better shooting team.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
Yeah, you can't disagree with that. But the answer, it's going to come down to is, you think they can win without Embiid? I don't think so. I think Embiid will play, but how effective will he be? It's going to be tough for him to be as explosive and pivot and do all things he needs to do as an MVP caliber player he is. He's not a role player. If he was a role player, this wouldn't matter much. He is their offense when it comes down to it.
I totally agree, but me personally, I do think that Embiid, and realistically, what I would like is this, and I'm not saying this is 100% what they're going to do, but I would not like to see Joel Embiid until Game 3 at least. I would not like to see Joel Embiid until Game 3. And something you have to keep in mind here is Philly does not lose on their home court very often. They are one of the best teams on their home court. I think they're second just behind Utah with the best record on their home court. And I don't think, even without Joel Embiid, I think we can win 2 games on our home court. And then maybe Joel comes back going into Atlanta for Game 3.
If you guys play 2 games without Joel Embiid, that would be some of the boldest stuff I've ever seen, man. It's tough.
I think it depends too. Woo. It depends too on how Game 1 goes. I think if we win it in dominant fashion, or at least keep it close, he could take that time to rest. But if Atlanta proves that we're really going to need him, I could see him coming back for Game 2. I think it all kind of depends.
Yeah, I'm excited to see if he's announced active or not. I think he'll play, but if he doesn't, I won't be surprised. And if he doesn't, the same thing with the Bucks needed to steal Game 1 from the Nets without James. Hawks need to steal Game 1 if Embiid's not out there.
I agree. So there you got it, man. So the bet is up, man. The bet is up. $20 bet. You got Atlanta. I got Philly. We'll see how that one goes. But now we're going to take it over to the Western Conference, and we'll start with the series that's actually locked in because, of course, as we said, we still don't know who's going to be matching up with the 1 seed Utah Jazz. So we'll get into that one last just because it's still, we're still unsure of it. But for now, Suns and Nuggets.
Mm-hmm.
The big thing for me coming in is the health of Chris Paul. I think that in itself, I won't say that it decides the entire series because I do think the Nuggets can take down the Suns even if they have Chris Paul. But I think this decides because without Chris Paul, I think it's Nuggets in 4. Nuggets in 4. Yeah. I'm fully set on it that if Chris Paul does not touch the court in the second round, the Nuggets will sweep. But if he does, I can see it going 6 or 7.
Now, people seem to be very excited for the Suns after they beat the Lakers. I'm seeing everybody calling the Suns in the finals. And to be quite honest, I'm not convinced.
Me neither.
I'm not convinced, bro. The Lakers weren't good. I think a lot of teams could have beat the Lakers in the first round, if we're being honest here. And the Nuggets, if the Nuggets had Jamal Murray, it'd be much easier, and I think they would be in the finals this year. But they don't. But what they do have is the best center. No offense to you, Embiid.
Oh no, I'm on the Jokic train this year.
Jokic is unbelievable.
He's the best center in the league. I can vouch for that.
Aaron Gordon, I think, hit 9 threes the other night. That was just incredible. I think them trading for him was such a clutch move because without Jamal Murray this year, if Aaron Gordon wasn't there, it'd be tough for them. But Aaron Gordon, to me, is a top talent, and this team just looks so good. I got Nuggets in 6. I think they're going to the conference finals, and I don't think there's anything the Suns can do about it.
Okay, and I'd agree. I think the Nuggets definitely are coming in with quite the advantage here, but something to keep in mind here, like you said, I definitely think the Suns are a great team, but I could say to you right now with full confidence that any other team in the Western Conference could take the Lakers in a 7-game series. Any other team, even the Grizzlies, I think can take the Lakers in 6 games. Any team in the Western Conference that made the playoffs, even the teams in the play-in, for all I know, the teams in the play-in.
The Warriors could have beat them, bro.
The Warriors could have beat them, and who did Memphis beat? San Antonio? Spurs might be a bit of a stretch. But 9 out of the 10 teams that got into the playoffs this year would give the Lakers problems. If not, all of them would beat them. So to me, beating the Lakers, you got to keep in mind this is a team. AD was playing through injuries when he was playing. Obviously, he missed a large amount of time in that series. LeBron playing through injuries, and he just really didn't look motivated to me. And the Lakers just struggled the second their starting lineup came off the court. So to me, I'm not set on the Suns being a great team because of this series win. Like you said, it doesn't prove anything to me. It just wasn't an impressive win. We spoke about the liabilities this Lakers team had. And to me, I'm just not set in stone. I'm with you, man. I got Nuggets in 6. I think D-Book can lock in, drop some 40, 50-point games and take a couple. But I think nonetheless, I think the Nuggets are going to take this series.
Yeah, I agree. But I will say, if the Suns take it, then I apologize, and I I trust the Buck with my life because he did play great. Don't get me wrong; he played amazing first round,
Oh
and the
yeah.
Nugget defense isn't that great either. So it's up to Booker. If Booker can hit the shots he was hitting and go off,
Oh my
the Suns can win that series. And if they do, then I was wrong, and the Suns are the real deal. I would love to see nothing more than Chris Paul being in the finals,
Mm-hmm.
but I just think the Nuggets are just very talented as well.
Yeah, and I think I totally agree. I think the Nuggets will have the Suns' number in this series. But like you said, Chris Paul, great player. I realistically think he's having the best season he's had in arguably the last decade.
Yeah.
He's been great on that team, and I send my prayers out to him. I hope he's okay. I'd love to see him play some games in this series, even if we only see him for 1 or 2 games, just to see what the Suns can do against
I'm
that
sure he'll
Nuggets
play.
team. But nonetheless, you heard it here first. Nuggets in 6. When it happens, you can come and look back at this and know that we called it. So the final
Yes, sir.
series, and we're gonna kind of have to cover 2 scenarios here for the Utah Jazz because they could be playing either the Clippers or the Mavericks. Now, for me coming in, I think the Clippers match up with the Jazz a lot better, at least on paper.
Yeah, and I agree, obviously, but I can cover both at the same time. Utah beats both of these teams. I think Utah is built different. I think Gobert's been disrespected, because of the whole COVID thing he did, and him being a defensive-minded player. I think Donovan Mitchell showed if he's healthy, and he looked healthy towards the end of that series, I think he's about to go crazy no matter who he plays against. And the Nuggets they just shoot out the gym, bro. They're just crazy. It's kind of like the Nets, but with less talent. I just think in this day and age, if you can't shoot as good as the opposing team, it's gonna be hard for you to win. And Utah's known to shoot lights out, and I just see them beating either team.
I totally agree, and Utah legitimately has a 9 to 10 man rotation where nine out of 10 players can bang out a 3 from at 40% for the season. They got some good shooters on this team, and it's definitely going to be tough to beat them. But I'm with you. I think Utah beats either of these teams. I think with the Mavs, I would like to say that if they play the Mavs, they take them down in 5. I think the Clippers give them 2 games and they put them out at 6. But nonetheless, I like Utah here. I think Utah's going to make their way to the conference finals. But for me, I would much rather see a Clippers series just because I feel the Mavericks, they're a one-man team, man. Let's be real here. The supporting cast has done their thing. They're a one-man team. It's Luka Doncic or bust.
Yeah.
I think that this is something to keep in mind here, that the Clippers don't truly have a true center. Listen, Zubac's great, but to me, he's not the greatest on the defensive end. He's a great rebounder. He can finish from time to time. He's a good screen setter, but he's not Rudy Gobert. He's not Rudy Gobert. And if you watch this series, yes, Luka makes his threes from time to time, but the majority of his points come down low. You see him, he'll come off a screen, he plays in that 0 to 20 foot range, 0 to 15 foot range, and that's where he strives. It really is. And I think Gobert can be the difference that Zubac was unable to do, and especially considering how much depth this team has. And I think the big problem was, obviously, with a guy like Porzingis, it kind of forced the center for the Clippers and Zubac to play on the perimeter. But I like the Jazz. I like having Joe Ingles guard Porzingis on the perimeter and leaving Gobert down low.
Yeah,
I would be completely fine doing that, where the Clippers were not so much, around to do that. So for me, if I'm the Jazz and I'm playing against Dallas, I'm putting Ingles on that perimeter. I'm putting him on KP. I'm leaving Gobert down there. And once you lock out his game on the inside, you got to force Luka to shoot the ball. And this is not to say he's a bad shooter, because he's not. But if you force him to play on the perimeter and you don't give him anywhere to go, you got to realize he becomes one-dimensional. You don't got to worry about that drive anymore. All you got to worry about is that step-back 3, that side-step 3, or that pull-up 3 off the pick. If you can cover those 3, you're fine. Now, this is why I like the Clippers, though. I think the Clippers give them way more of a challenge, and I think the Clippers have more depth, and that's what you need to beat the Utah Jazz. The only way you're going to beat them is if you can outshoot them and out-depth them, for lack of a better word. I think the Clippers have the depth. I think that they could take them a better distance than Dallas.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I think ultimately it's going to be to their demise. whoever wins. If Luka wins, I'm going to be thoroughly impressed. Just because the Clippers, they got the bigger names, of course. They got Paul George, Kawhi, Rondo, who hasn't really been doing that great, if you ask me. But I think, yeah, regardless, the Clippers, if the Clippers click, then they can go to the finals. But they haven't looked like they clicked quite yet. And the Jazz, or honestly, not most people are going to pick Clippers over the Jazz. Me and you are in the minority here, having the Jazz winning. Most people think the Jazz are a fluke. The Jazz are, suck. A lot of them had them losing in the first round to either Memphis or the Warriors. So I guess we're it's a bit of a hot take coming from us, but I got the Jazz regardless of who they play.
Agreed. So you heard it here first. So when it happens, you can come back and we can say I told you so. So our conference finals pick, Nets and Sixers for me, Nets and Hawks for this man over here, this bozo who doesn't know what he's talking about. But he's got Nets Hawks, I got Nets Sixers. We'll see who's there. But for both of us, we got the Jazz no matter who they match up with, and Nuggets taking over the Suns. So we'll be back to you guys. I'm sure I'll have him back on 2 weeks, sir. whenever we're ready for conference finals action. We'll be right back on to talk some more. But hey, man, it's been your boy CG and my guy Solo.
Yes, sir. That's in 4.
Peace.